We have a major Boston Bruins trade update, this time once again on Brad Marchand, except this one is something that Bruins fan needs to take into serious consideration for the future of this team. I'm going to be breaking down this report from an Edmonton Oilers reporter, as well as going over why this move is something the Bruins need to seriously consider going forward. I'm going to be talking about all that here in this video. Before we get into it, though, we know 70% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot for all of your Boston Bruins news, you're in the right spot. And remember, we are on the road to 6K with the ultimate goal of surpassing the Boston Bruins in subscribers. The time is now for trades, and the NHL is getting underway with that. And the Bruins are a team that are going to need to be watched. So make sure to hit the sub button if you want all your Boston Bruins news. But without any further ado, let's get into this update, because this is something that I've really been having float around my mind for quite some time now until the recording of this video. And starting off here with this screenshot, recently there's been a lot of trade rumors linking Brad Marchand to the Edmonton Oilers, but now there's been a surprising twist. Multiple trusted insiders have revealed that Brad Marchand has gained interest from the Edmonton Oilers, and with the Bruins possibly retooling at the NHL trade deadline, this makes a lot of sense. Following that goes with this, and I will make this on the big screen so you can see it here. Though the Boston Bruins have been playing better as of late, they've struggled most of the season, expected to be one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. They have disappointed 26, 22, and 6 record, and are currently outside of the playoff picture. Because of those struggles, there is speculation that they could be sellers heading into the trade deadline, and we've seen everything that Don Sweeney, Cam Neely have both said, and I do have another update from Cam Neely, Don Sweeney, something that he had said in the Rangers game on the broadcast, but I'll get to that in a moment. Should they decide to sell, Brad Marchand is a name that many playoff-bound teams will be checking in on. The Bruins captain is set to become an unrestricted free agent this summer and carries a very reasonable $6.125 million cap hit. Though it may be hard to envision the Oilers landing him, there are several reporters who believe that this could happen. And we know that the Brad Marchand is a very, very tough candidate to try and trade away. And, a lot of people don't want to see him. But when I get into this trade, who this does contain, this is something that, it seems crazy, and I still can't believe I'm saying this. Something the Bruins seriously need to consider if their plan is to go and sell, retool, rebuild, rejig, whatever Cam Neely wants to call it. This is something that seriously needs to be considered, because when you're looking at this trade that I'm about to show you here in a moment, I don't know how many more opportunities you will be able to get a player like this. But let's head into it. Matt Savoie from the Edmonton Oilers, previously from the Buffalo Sabres, is the man in question here. I will get into this trade in a moment that they have projected here, but looking at Matt Savoie, he has been incredible in the AHL this year for Bakersfield, and then obviously we've seen his time in Moose Jaw, see his time with the Winnipeg Ice, with the Wenatchee Wild. He has been incredible in the WHL, incredible in his international play, and Matt Savoie is someone that you don't get the opportunity to go out and get every single day. Normally, prospects like this kind of unlock. Teams are just waiting to get that open spot, but the way that the Edmonton Oilers are built, ready for the playoffs, to have Connor McDavid, they're going for it now. If they want to end up doing this, signing Brad Marchand to an extension after a trade, whatnot, they're able to do that with the cap going up, with him trying to be on this team. So the Edmonton Oilers seem like a very, it makes a lot of sense that they try and go get Brad Marchand, but they don't need their prospects. They're looking for some win-now teams, some win-now players. And realistically, although Matt Savoie is an incredible player, he's not going to help them right now. As being in the AHL and whatnot, it really just does seem like, they don't have a spot for him. And that's a big thing that they need to consider, is what the Bruins are going forward with. And the Bruins, in this case, need to consider, if they are not going to make the playoffs, Brad Marchand, yes, he's your captain. Yes, he's the guy that has been here forever, but if you're going to retool, rejig, you need to actually make these moves that you probably don't want to, and there's certain ones that you won't, of course, like David Pastrnak's not going anywhere, Charlie McAvoy is not going anywhere, Jeremy Swayman's not going anywhere. Those are 3 I can pretty much guarantee, but when you're looking elsewhere, I think really anybody else is on the table, apart from maybe a few of, the not superstar players that the Bruins are looking at going forward, for example, Mason Lohrei, but looking at it, how much longer does Brad Marchand have? How much will he value to this team in the coming seasons and whatnot? If they go to a rejig, that will cost a couple years. And Brad Marchand, you want to give him the opportunity for another cup before he retires. That's something regardless of if it's the Bruins or not. Obviously, we'd love to make it the Bruins, but you never really know at this point. And that's something that the Bruins need to really consider. And here is another bit of that article here One huge bargaining chip that the Oilers have is Matt Savoie. The 2022 ninth overall pick was acquired by the Edmonton Oilers in the Ryan McLeod trade with the Buffalo Sabres this offseason. He has really started to put things together in the American Hockey League as of late. Through 40 games his rookie season, 21-year-old has 12 goals, 31 points. The Oilers, who lack prospects at both ends of the ice, would prefer to hold on to Savoie, but players like Marchand's caliber don't become available very often. His high-end skill set, mixed with championship pedigree, may be enough to entice the Oilers to part ways with their best prospect in the system. And this really does benefit both teams, I think. And looking at it now, when you're kind of putting that into perspective as well, that a player like Marchand's caliber does not become available very often. You could say the exact same thing with Matt Savoie, except in different circumstances. You can't get a prospect like that very often that will immediately benefit your team. And of course, as I've mentioned numerous times, it is very, very, very hard to trade Brad Marchand, but it does make sense if the Bruins have a line for him, if they have that path for him to, work it into a different system, work him into a different roster. Of course, I don't believe he wants to be traded. I don't think the Bruins want to trade him, but if it comes down to it and they have to on their a full-blown fire sale by this Bruins team, Brad Marchand is going to be a candidate to be able to get a very, very big return, and especially the way he's been playing this season, although it sucks to say, he is probably now the top trade candidate, I would argue, over Trent Frederic at this point right now in this offseason. But I want to pull up as well what Don Sweeney had to say on the TNT broadcast last night during the New York Rangers game. Last night at the time of recording this video, a few days ago if you're watching it a bit after, but this is what Don Sweeney had to say. Well, it's been a little bit unique for us this year, getting out of the gate not as fast as we'd like. We're in the middle of things. It's tough to exercise the sort of play both sides of the street, but there's almost every year what a general manager is required to do and test what's out there, what's available, how you can improve, and hopefully we have some areas we would like to. But we have to keep an eye. We've missed on Elias Lindholm all year, at least 40 games, and it's affected our group. But everybody goes through injuries. You got to battle through it. You got to find a way. While I'm out there trying to improve our club, if we have more injuries or we don't play or we don't do the job between now and the deadline, we may have to take a different path. So what Don Sweeney really seems to say here is that they're still buying, but that can change at a moment's notice. We know that the Bruins right now this season have not been at all stellar. We've had a few good spurts of games. Before the Rangers game, we had 2 good wins there. Recently going off against the Wild, then heading against the Rangers, a game where they had 10 shots or 12 shots in 50 minutes. That will not cut it, regardless of what happens, even though they were up in that third period. Games like those are games that you need to win, and if the Bruins cannot do that, it is time to sell. And a lot of people are already saying, I'm seeing the comments below, I'm seeing it on Twitter, I'm seeing really anywhere, responses to articles, whatever. They want this team to sell because they know that this would just be a wasted playoff. This team is not a playoff caliber team. Although if you do make the playoffs, I guess that really just saves Don Sweeney and Cam Neely's job, even though if it may not, it looks better on paper for them than what it would be if they missed the playoffs significantly. So there are 2 sides of the coin here, but ultimately it is coming down to a few games. You don't want to wait too long. Because, in this case, the Edmonton Oilers could go out and acquire someone else. But Brad Marchand, as the article said, you don't get a Brad Marchand very often. You don't get a Matt Savoie very often. And it is very interesting to see where this Brad Marchand updates and this news will go. And depending on what happens, it seems like the Edmonton Oilers are very interested. And I'm kind of, a mix of excited but nervous to see where this goes. But let me know in the comments below what you think about this. Obviously, it's a pretty significant update from what we've heard as of late in the most recent update with Brad Marchand, but it is partially good, and I don't mind the idea of Matt Savoie for a Brad Marchand deal, but it would definitely take some getting used to. So let me know what you think about a potential trade like that. No, obviously it doesn't have to be Matt Savoie, but a Brad Marchand trade along the lines of that. Let me know what you think, but that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well, but I'm signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.